Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a crime, drama, and mystery film called X-Files Familiar. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In the small town of Eastwood, one little boy, Andrew, is at the playground singing the theme song of the show his toy, Mr. Chuckleteeth, is from. Alongside them is a little girl, Emily, and her mom, Anna, who's preoccupied with a book. Letting Andrew play, Diana, his mom, accepts a phone call which distracts her. While preoccupied with the phone call, Andrew notices a life-sized Mr. Chuckleteeth within the forest, looking at him. Immediately, Andrew tries to let Diana know, but the phone call frustrates her, so she doesn't turn to see what Andrew is pointing toward, saying she's busy. When she hangs up, Andrew is nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, Andrew is walking through the woods, following Mr. Chuckleteeth, who seems to be baiting Andrew to follow him. But before he can catch up, he hears rustling behind him, making him gasp in surprise as he turns. That night, a search party combs through the woods to look for Andrew, where one police officer, Wentworth, comes across the bloody crime scene, so he immediately blows the whistle to notify the others. The other cops arrive at the scene, including Officer Rick, Andrew's dad, who immediately starts having a breakdown as he sees his son's mangled corpse, so they try to stop him from seeing it any further. With the investigation underway, two FBI agents, Mulder and Scully, join the Eastwood cops, including Chief Strong at the crime scene. Investigating the reports, Scully asks for further information about the cause of death because Strong thinks it's an animal attack. When Scully asks which animal it is, Strong insinuates a new kind of coyote and wolf hybrid, a coy wolf. Then, Strong asks why the FBI is joining their investigation, so Mulder explains that the FBI has jurisdiction over cases that involve the killing of a law enforcement officer's child. Realizing the FBI's implication, Strong asks if they think it's a murder. Scully says she doesn't rule it out, explaining that a man who has recently escaped detention would likely kill again. When Wentworth points out that the autopsy doesn't support their conclusion, Scully rebuts that the child's broken neck does, and the bite marks might be post-mortem animal predation. Strong tells them that they can't just make assumptions, but Mulder speaks up, saying Scully is a medical doctor. Continuing her analysis, Scully says they're looking for a male aged 19 to 42 with a criminal record which probably lives near the playground, adding that these types of killers get aroused seeing their victims suffer. After meeting with the officers, Scully is in disbelief at the coy wolf theory, so Mulder says he was thinking of a hellhound or guardians of the underworld, which sounds even more ridiculous to Scully. However, Mulder points out that there have been strange happenings in town. He tells her that in 1658, a Puritan midwife was accused of witchcraft and getting involved with the devil. Legend has it that the midwife just spontaneously combusted. Continuing to look at the rational side of things, Scully says the midwife might just be a tragic, innocent victim of religious persecution and hysteria. Still, Mulder admits that even if he doesn't believe in coy wolves, he believes there might be black art practitioners in town. Later, Scully cross-examines Andrew's corpse, and although the injuries coincide with the officer's theories, it's hard for her to point out when it happened, but she can assume that Andrew was probably shaken to death. Thus, Mulder realizes that Scully thinks that one of the suspects could be the parents. Just then, Mulder notices something on Andrew's foot which seems to be salt, but weirdly enough, it's not in the report. Furthermore, Mulder also observes that another eyewitness, Emily, the daughter of Chief Strong, wasn't interviewed. Although Scully thinks Mulder is wasting his time because Emily is 5 and Anna was there with her, Mulder says it seems odd to him. After Andrew's wake, Strong gives his condolences to Diane, but she just walks away from him. On the other hand, Rick asks Wentworth why the FBI didn't want to release Andrew's body, even for the ceremony, so Wentworth explains that Scully theorized about a possible ex-convict who lives in Eastwood. Meanwhile, Anna is confused about why the FBI still wants to question Emily, but Strong just tells her to play nice and let Emily talk to the agents. Thus, Mulder goes to their household and asks Emily what she saw. But Emily just says she saw Andrew going into the woods and is barely responsive because she's busy watching Bibble Tiggles, a show like Teletubbies but has a creepier look to it. When Emily asks for juice, Anna goes to the kitchen, so Mulder takes the opportunity to look around their house, noticing books about the witches and the occult on their bookshelf, including a grimoire of the Eastwood Witch. Seeing him look around, Anna points out that Strong is a history nut. After thanking Anna for her time, Mulder is about to take his leave, but when Mr. Chuckleteeth's show comes on, Emily speaks up, pointing at the TV and saying she saw Mr. Chuckleteeth in the forest. Meanwhile, Rick searches their police database for profiles that match Scully's analysis and finds the data of Melvin, an ex-convict who was jailed for inappropriately assaulting a minor. Back to confront the chief, Scully tries to give a forewarning about cases involving the death of children under the age of 5. However, Strong immediately stops her, saying Rick definitely didn't kill Andrew, even backing up that Rick was working his shift when Andrew was attacked. Still, Scully is unconvinced and asks whether Rick was alone that time. Looking for Rick to question him directly, Wentworth says Rick left in a hurry. Outside, they see Rick speeding off to the road using a police car, so they hurriedly follow in a panic. Although Strong orders him to pull over, Rick doesn't listen and continues his drive towards Melvin's house, kicking through the door. Following shortly behind, Strong calls after Rick. However, as he notices that Melvin isn't home, Rick flips a table and starts having a mental breakdown as Strong takes his gun away from him. Calling Mulder, Scully updates him about the situation, but Mulder, who's investigating in the forest, comes across a hellhound that walks away from him. Arriving at Melvin's, Mulder gets a rundown from Scully, that they're currently waiting for a search warrant and that Melvin didn't register with the police station that he was an ex-convict when he moved in. Furthermore, Melvin lives 2 blocks away from the park, but still, Mulder isn't convinced. After Strong returns with a warrant, the officer search his place, and Scully finds photos of Melvin with children because he works as a mascot for kids' parties. Opening the closet, a monkey jumps in its cage, surprising Mulder. But aside from the monkey, Mulder catches sight of a Mr. Chuckleteeth mask on the shelf. As certain steps are taken to investigate Melvin, Mulder thinks the situation is too perfect. But Scully points out that sometimes the simple solutions might be the right one. On the street, many townsfolk wait in outrage for Melvin. However, Mulder continues to state his doubts about the assumption even though Scully tells him they must start somewhere. Back at Anna's home, Emily is still busy watching Bibble Tiggles even when Anna calls her over for lunch. Looking to her side, Emily smiles as a character from Bibble Tiggles stands by their door, staring at her. Anna, who's preoccupied in the kitchen, doesn't notice Emily going outside until she's already gone. Anna then runs outside and shouts after Emily. But unfortunately, Emily's body is also found dead in the woods, and Scully points out that the little girl's body has similar signs of predation as Andrew's. Mulder sighs, saying he just talked to Emily that morning and that she was alive. In utter grief, Anna bursts at the scene, sobbing for her child, so Strong immediately holds onto her, saying she can't be there. However, Anna pushes him away, saying he did this and it's all his fault. With Anna's outburst, Wentworth escorts her away from the scene as Mulder notices something peculiar about the crime scene, a salt circle. Thus, he points out that it's a magic circle used to summon demons and spirits, and that when casting spells, the salt protects the caster from the demons unleashed. Explaining further, Mulder says witches used to conjure familiars that take the form of animals, but could sometimes take human shape in the likeness of a victim's desires. Catching him messing with the crime scene, the officer asks what Mulder is doing. But as he brushes away the leaves, Mulder shows them that they're in a Puritan graveyard, a ground where spirits and demons have been unleashed. Thus, he confronts Strong for hiding the evidence regarding the salt circle and someone practicing witchcraft. Although Scully tries to stop Mulder, Strong confesses that he's guilty of Mulder's accusations, but he didn't kill the children, especially not his own daughter. Instead, he confesses that he cheated on Anna with Diane, and wouldn't stop trying to pursue her. Thus, he thinks he's being punished and has opened the gates of hell. Meanwhile, as Melvin gets home, Ricky immediately pulls him out of his car, throwing him on the ground. Back at the forest, Scully discusses Mulder's theories with him, asking whether he thinks Strong did it. Mulder just says someone definitely put a curse on the town. Just then, the officers catch news of Rick's public meltdown as the townsfolk cheer him on while he beats Melvin till the convict is bloody. However, Melvin insists on his innocence, saying it was statutory and he never hurt anybody. Stopping Rick, Wentworth pulls him away from Melvin, but the rest of the townsfolk jump in to attack the bloody man. It wasn't until warning shots were fired and the FBI agents show their IDs that the townsfolk stop. Furthermore, Scully warns them that further violence will be considered attempted murder. However, Rick still can't calm down because instead of calling for an ambulance, he shoots Melvin instead. During Rick's court proceeding, Mulder is certain that Rick wouldn't be jailed. Additionally, he also notes that whoever killed the children is probably in the courtroom. When Scully asks him about hellhounds, Mulder confesses that he saw one, but Scully is still in disbelief. Coming to a conclusion, Rick is put on bail as the judge adjourns the court, but outside, Wentworth calls for Scully and Mulder's attention. Sickened with how Rick gunned down Melvin without due process, Wentworth says he started doing his own digging. Handing a folder to the two, Wentworth points out that Melvin had an alibi, saying he was performing at a kid's birthday party during the time of Andrew's disappearance. Although Wentworth tried to tell Strong, he wasn't listened to, so the FBI agents said they'll talk to Strong. Back at their home, Rick confronts Diane about her unfaithfulness and blames her for Andrew's death, saying he won't forgive her. When Rick tries to leave her, Diane turns the tables, saying she'll leave him. As Diane drives away while crying, she fails to keep her eyes on the road and sees an entity posing as Andrew standing in her path. Swerving away, she ends up flipping her car and crashing. At the wreck, a hellhound walks close to the overturned car. He suddenly hears a child singing Mr. Chuckleteeth's theme song as the demon posing as the beloved kid's character starts taunting Rick, appearing in front of him. Rick chases Mr. Chuckleteeth and shoots at him, but he ends up in the living room where the TV opens on its own, showing a demonic version of Mr. Chuckleteeth's opening intro, saying he'll be sending Rick straight to hell. Turning around, the demonic Mr. Chuckleteeth jump scares him, but as Rick falls down, it runs away. While distracted by the mysterious entity, Rick doesn't notice Strong come up behind him. The two men hold each other at gunpoint until a shot fires. Immediately arriving at Strong's household, Mulder and Scully find Rick shot dead and a trail of salt outside. While Mulder looks around the house, he sees the Mr. Chuckleteeth theme song still playing on the TV. Furthermore, he notices that the grimoire is missing from the bookshelf. Thinking it's ridiculous, Scully points out that this is probably a crime of passion due to the unfaithfulness that's been going on between the two families. Still, Mulder takes Scully back to the scene of the crime. Meanwhile, Strong goes out looking for Diane and finds her overturned vehicle, but sees her in the woods, so he follows immediately. Just as they get there, the FBI agents waste no time running inside the forest. Although Strong is chasing after a figure that looks like Diane, he doesn't notice Diane's actual dead body beside a tree. Soon, Strong comes across a ritual circle with candles and salt, with Anna reading the grimoire in the middle. Explaining, Anna says she's trying to finish what she started because she only tried to curse Diane and Strong for cheating. Angered, Strong shouts at Anna, saying she unleashed something she can't control, but Anna is convinced that she can end it. In a second, Strong is mauled by a hellhound as Anna watches in terror inside the circle. Getting to her spot, Mulder tries to convince Anna to drop the book, pointing out that she tapped into something she can't control. Insisting, Anna says she can do it, but she ends up spontaneously combusting instead. From outside the circle, the FBI agents can only watch as Anna burns. Later, Scully hands Wentworth the fully intact grimoire, noting that it somehow didn't burn. In the end, Scully and Mulder leave Eastwood just as the playground roundabout starts moving on its own.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.